well as LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. If you're watching anywhere, please post where you're watching from, post a comment. Every single person that posts a comment is going to be eligible to win a prize. We're giving away books from our guest today, Eric Siu. More about him in a minute. But in the meantime, post on LinkedIn. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know questions you have for me. And of course, questions, if any, that you have for our special guest, Eric Siu. So without further ado, Eric is the CEO of digital marketing agency Single Grain. Single Grain has worked with companies such as, no big deal, Amazon, Uber, and Salesforce to help them acquire more customers. He also hosts not one, but two podcasts, Marketing School with Neil Patel and Growth Everywhere, an entrepreneurial podcast where he dissects growth levers that help businesses scale. Eric is the author of the brand new Leveling Up, How to Master the Game of Life. I am super excited because we're really coming full circle here. I met Eric years and years ago, told him about EO, an organization that's been super influential in my life. I think he joined, he leveled up, and now he's a YPO member kicking butt. Welcome to Likeable Leaders, Eric Siu.
1 second. Thanks for having me, Dave. Just trying to get my AirPods on.
So I think we have successfully pulled off the technical mastery, and I just want to say, if we screw up from here, that I'm excited about that, if nothing else. So that is really, really exciting. Eric, tell us a little bit about Leveling Up, why you wrote this book, what is the purpose behind this book, and what you're hoping to accomplish with it.
Yeah, appreciate it. And thanks for having me, Dave. I mean, again, like Dave said, really about almost 10 years ago, I kind of cold outreach to Dave, and he's like, you got to join this thing, EO. And this is before I became an entrepreneur. And yeah, EO totally changed my life. So by default, Dave changed my life, right? So those of you that are seeing the video right now, I'm actually holding up the book in the background right here. So Leveling Up. But, you know, I've been asked the question before, why do a book? Nobody reads books anymore. And to me, I still read a lot of physical books. There's something about the physical touch and being able to flip the pages, the focus, that type of stuff. And, you know, I've heard from someone in the past saying that, look, don't write a book to try to make money or do anything like that. Ultimately, you're writing a book if you have a message, right? And, you know, my message, I think everyone has a unique story, whether they like it or not. And for me, my story growing up was the only thing I excelled at was doing games and kind of doing esports before it became a thing. And now it's actually growing rapidly. So I kind of have this intersection between esports and business, which I think is the ultimate game. And, you know, a lot of what I know from business, a lot of my habits come from my gaming days. So a lot of people might not resonate with that, but over 3 billion people in the world have played games, and they need to understand that the stigma against gaming will go away eventually, and they can make a bigger impact on the world. And the other thing is, look, if you haven't played games, just understanding that you've probably played sports, it's the same type of thing: teamwork, camaraderie, resilience, all these things you learn from sports. Same thing in sports. If you overtrain, you're going to get injured. If you overtrain in the world of gaming, in the shadow world, you're also going to get injured, right? So same type of concept. I think it's just kind of a reframe for people.
Awesome. If you're just joining us, I'm live with Eric Siu on Clubhouse, also on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook, all at once. We believe it's the first time in humankind history that this has happened. So personally, I'm very, very excited. We're going to give away some books. So the only way to win a book is to comment on one of the live streams. We don't have a good Clubhouse way to give away a book, but I guess we could do hands up at some point to give away a book on Clubhouse. But in the meantime, Christina, can you choose one person randomly that has commented on LinkedIn so far, please, and send me our very first winner, Christina from Behind the Glass, Ty Kelly from Buffalo, New York. Congratulations, Ty Kelly. You are the first winner of Leveling Up. Hold up that book. Yep, Leveling Up, How to Master the Game of Life. So congratulations, Ty, and we have more winners to come. So post on that live stream, post a comment. Let us know what questions you have for Eric. Christina's going to be sending me questions that we have in a minute. But first, Eric, so how to master the game of life, that's a very, very big and broad topic. So here's what I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me like 2 or 3 good actionable takeaways that people will get from this book? What are a couple of things that, like, I like practical, actionable stuff, right? What can people expect? A couple of examples of actionable things to level up, improve at business and life from reading this book, sir.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance when I say this one, but one of the chapters is titled Thievery. And when I look, I'm staring at my mouse over here. When I think about what Apple did, I don't know if it's in the 70s or 80s, they went to Xerox and they stole the mouse. They stole not only the mouse, but they stole the GUI, the graphical user interface. And Steve Jobs used to say that everything in life is a remix. And we're just really building on top. We're iterating, really. And when you look at SpaceX's rockets, they still look the same as rockets from the past. The big difference is they come back to Earth now, right? It's not a small feat, but it is an iteration. And so even when I look at your business, Likeable, or when I look at the ad agency we have, Single Right, it's an iteration. Agencies have been around for the longest time. And so I think we hold sacred this concept of having to be original, when the reality is we just need to iterate with a really good team and build an amazing culture. And easier said than done. I'm keeping it very broad right now, but the whole idea around kind of copying, I think if people get more used to it, they'll become more accepting of, they'll be able to move faster, right? Because at the end of the day, whatever we're learning, or, you're listening to this on Clubhouse or watching this on a live stream, you're really trying to learn and you're trying to figure out how to apply that to remix it into whatever it is that you're doing. And so I learned this when I was about 12 years old, when I won a championship, when I was playing a game. I got destroyed in preliminaries. These were one-on-one duels, and I had no strategy until I saw this one German player. I got lucky with the timing, and I just looked at her strategy and I was like, I'm going to copy that. And then I swept everyone after. I didn't lose, and I won the championship. And at that very age, I was like, oh, that's all I need to do. I just need to kind of learn from other people and then kind of ethically steal, right? What did Picasso say? Great artists steal. So that's one of them. Now, the second one would be, on the live stream right now, Dave's got a pyramid, right? There's this concept of the wealth ladder. And, whether you want to become wealthy or not, that's totally up to you. But this concept is from the CEO of a company called, and by the way, the game is EverQuest. So it's the precursor to World of Warcraft. And so the wealth ladder concept from a CEO named Nathan Barry from ConvertKit. And I really like the concept that so much that I put it into the book. And the entire concept is, at the bottom of the ladder, you are learning. You're going to school, you're learning a lot. And then after that, you have to stack on top of your education. You have to build great habits, or I call them power-ups within the book. And after that, well, you go get a job. I got a job. And then after that, you might start a side hustle. I remember when I had a job, I started a side hustle that was non-competitive. The company found out about it because the lead reached out to the company. I got fired. And actually, that's when I reached out to you. That was when I got fired, about a month after. That's when I reached out to you. And so, you're constantly getting a little stronger, right? You start the side hustle, and then maybe you build an agency, you start to hire people, or you start a drop shipping thing, you start to hold inventory, and then you get bigger and bigger. And then you decide if you want to take it to the next level. You can reinvest the cash flows, go find more durable sources. You can go build software. You can go build a network effects business if you want. And you can build a platform business, whatever, right? Then you, at the very top of it, maybe you're investing. And not all of these are mutually exclusive. You can do them at the same time. But the whole idea here is that there's levels to everything, and there's a boss at the end of each one. And you have to keep getting stronger and stronger if you want to get to the next one. And if you don't, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But just understand that you don't deserve to get to the next level until you beat the current one.
Love it. So great artists steal. I heard you say great artists steal, and we talk about really thinking about game theory in terms of leveling up and having multiple income streams and multiple opportunities. I've gotten into investing in the last couple of years, and I really, really love it. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, but I love the idea of supporting other entrepreneurs, but also potentially building, interesting income streams along the way. Who is this book best for? Who's going to most appreciate this book? And speaking of the book, we are giving away copies. So if you haven't commented yet, post a comment on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching. And yes, I'm going to give away one book on Clubhouse too, because why not? But who is the book going to be best for, Eric?
Yeah, there's 3 segments that we honed in on. But obviously, the first one would go with, it's really for the people that have played games, the 3 billion people that play games that are trying to make something happen to make a bigger impact on the world, because I think we all have a lot of potential. And so it's, when I think about everything that what it takes to quote unquote become successful, everyone I've studied in the past, people that I talk to, at the end of the day, it comes down to mindset, how your mind is wired. And so the book is intended to help rewire people into how to think about certain things, right? So when, at least for me, when I'm dealt a ton of adversity, or when I'm passed up for something, I get really motivated. It fuels me. I won't get super angry about it, but I use that, and I just understand that that's a ticket to success, right? That failure is a big piece of it, right? So understanding that what we learned in school, getting D's and F's is bad, is actually reverse, right? You're supposed to get the D's and F's, and that's how you get up to the A's, right? So there's the gamers first, right? That even if you play Duck Hunt or something, it still counts, right? And then there's the parents. The parents are a big segment, because I even talked to my mom yesterday. Like, she was like, "Yeah, I just felt like you totally wasted your time." I was like, "Well, helping the parents reframe that gaming can actually create leaders and create success, that's one piece of it." But then you also have the people that just want to improve on habits, that have played a little games in their life before, whether it's sports or video games, doesn't matter, but just reframing and understanding that there's so many more power-ups in life that you can get. I write about 15 of them, but that's just the beginning. Understanding that, there are a lot of mental models to take from people. There are a lot of habits to build. And just like if you go get a sword in a game, you have to keep, you have to repair the durability, right? You have to keep sharpening the sword. So just because you ran 5 miles yesterday doesn't mean anything the next day. Just because you meditated yesterday doesn't mean anything the next day. Just because you slept 8 hours the next day doesn't mean you can sleep 4 the next day, right? So there's like games within games. But when you look at life as a game, it just makes it way easier, and it just makes it fun every single day. Like, even if you're dealing with something tough, like 2 weeks ago, I had to deal. It was a bad day. I was like, this would be classified as a bad day, but at the end of it, I was like, in the grand scheme of things, this was still an amazing day, right? So just a lot of reframes.
Love it. And I don't know if you knew this about me, but I was a runner-up in the Nintendo World Championships back in 1988, a competition that had Super Mario Brothers, Rad Racer, and Tetris. A wonderful time. I am a former gamer myself. I have put aside those gaming fingers, but I do still play a simulation baseball game, which I guess you could consider gaming. And I play poker, which of course I guess you could consider gaming as well. We're going to open up to questions from the audience, and just.
We should talk about this real quick. So, I mean, poker, right? I mean, so here's the interesting about poker. In probably my junior and senior year, I played about 10 to 14 hours of poker a day. I didn't go to class. And I learned so much about life and business from poker. You learn about bankroll management. More importantly, you learn about resilience, because you can bring your A game for 3 to 6 months, 12 months at a time, and variance will hit you and you won't win. And you'll also know when to make, you'll learn to think in bets. You'll learn how to think like an investor. So poker to me is almost like, I wish they taught me that in school. And it really helped make me like a better entrepreneur. We'll say that. And then the other thing you mentioned about gaming. So here's a template. Dave's a perfect template. He won a championship and he became an amazing entrepreneur, right? There's other gamers that I've observed, people that used to win these Quake tournaments, these first-person shooter tournaments. They win Ferraris and things like that. One guy I met, Thresh, he sold 3 startups, I believe, right? He's in tech. Some of the best entrepreneurs in the world, Elon, Mark Zuckerberg, they've played games, right? There's nothing like people can keep stigmatizing, but it's inevitable now. The trend, you can't back down on the trend now. So.
Well, I love it, and I have a 5.5-year-old, so I just got him into playing chess, which is really exciting. And I'm gonna see if I can level up and get him gaming. My daughter's boyfriend is super into Xbox, so maybe we'll get him in early as well. I am going to open it up to questions from the audience. If you have a question, please post it on LinkedIn over our live or Facebook. But it's easier for Christina to manage the LinkedIn live. So please do post your questions. We're also going to give away some more copies of Eric's book, Leveling Up. One question I'd like to ask everyone, and then we're going to bring up the Likeable Pyramid in just a moment, Christina. But one question I'd like to ask folks, Eric, is it's a tough one, okay? What is the biggest mistake of your life, and what did you learn from that mistake? Biggest mistake of your life, and what did you learn from that mistake?
Yeah, I mean, Countless, but usually these types of answers, it's the first one that pops into mind. So I would say the biggest mistake I made was the first year I took over Single Grain, which is the ad agency. This was a year after talking to you. So a year after that, or maybe a year and a half after, I have this company, right? So you're telling me I should join EO, like basically I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I read this book called Let My People Go Surfing from the Patagonia co-founder. I was like, oh yeah, let my people go surfing. Nobody wants to be micromanaged, blah, blah, blah. So stop showing up to the office. And then I'm like, yeah, you don't want to micromanage people, let them build the culture and all that. Like, I was like, yeah, makes sense. After that year, the company went from bad to worse. So we dropped all the way down to one employee. My outside accounting firm calls me and said, it might be time to shut it down. And I actually accepted a job offer that was really high paying. But the next day I was like, just like something is wrong. And so I made the mistake of not connecting, not building rapport with the team that I took over. And because of that, I faced the consequences. So, a lot of people talk about culture and team. I used to think that was a bunch of baloney. And I used to think it's all about, good execution. But you realize that if you want to think long-term, that stuff all builds in. And I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but that's one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So what we're going to do now is, as we do on every episode of Likeable Leaders, we're going to take a look at the Likeable Pyramid. I will describe it for those listening on Clubhouse. And Christine, if you can pull it up on screen, please, for those watching. So I believe there are 11 essential traits to what I call likable leadership. And what I'd love, I'm going to ask Eric which one or two resonate the most with him. But before I do that, I'd love to know from you all that are watching which resonates the most with you. I'm going to choose one person that comments to win a copy of Eric's book, Leveling Up. So is it listening? Is it storytelling? Is it passion? Is it teamwork? Is it surprise and delight? Is it responsiveness? Is it simplicity? Is it authenticity? Is it transparency? Is it adaptability? Or is it gratefulness? Which of those principles of likable leadership resonate the most with you guys? Post a comment. You can win a copy of Eric's book. And now I will turn it back over to you, Eric. Which of these 11 traits of likable leadership resonate the most with you as a leader, sir?
Yeah. Number one would be adaptability. So those of you that are seeing on Clubhouse right now, this pyramid's amazing. So just Google Likeable Pyramid. I'm assuming you'll find it like that. So adaptability, it's a little fish that has legs. So I think so much, whether it's in just life in general or business, things are changing all the time. And especially in marketing, things are shifting, right? So to have strong views, but to hold them weakly, I think that's super, super important. So just to, loosely hold your views and change around, I think that's number one for me. Number two would be probably passion. And so for me, my passion is, and I don't know, like the reason I did the book too is I love learning. That's one thing, but I also love articulating my thoughts because that reinforces it. And then also people get value from it. So yeah, I'm passionate about learning and yeah, it's adaptability and passion.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing, Eric. And we're going to give away another book here to Rosalind G from Los Angeles. Congratulations, Rosalind G. You are going home with Leveling Up. Hold it up for those watching at home, Eric. You're going home with a copy of Leveling Up from Eric Siu. Congratulations, Rosalind G. Please private message me your address and we will get a book out to you. We'll get a book out to you stat. Okay, so we're going to wrap up in a few minutes, but first, questions from the audience, and then we'll give away our grand prize. We're going to give away a copy of Eric's book and a copy of my latest book, The Art of People, to our final winner. We have a question. This is a good question. It's funny. It's so exciting. This is actually the first, the first Likeable Leaders interview I've done in, I guess, a year that this hasn't come up from me, which I guess is a good sign that things maybe are changing. But I for the last year, I've been asking everyone this, and it didn't even cross my mind. And the question is, how has COVID impacted you, your businesses, your life, et cetera? I think it's a fantastic question. I'm like shocked and slightly amused that I didn't ask it. But talk to us, Eric. How has COVID impacted you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an unfortunate situation for, I mean, the world. Fortunately, so far, I mean, we're still kind of going through it right now, right? The world is, but it's been good across the board. So because on the agency side, the clients are tech, they're SaaS companies that they really weren't impacted. In fact, they grew a lot. So that's been good for us. For our software, ClickFlow, it's been good too. And it's just people trying to grow their traffic online. So it's worked out well. It did impact. For marketing school, we have an events business tied to it. So that's paused until Q3 of this year. But that'll be fine. We should max out at that, once it comes back. That shouldn't be a problem. But other than that, it's been up across the board. And one thing I'll say, just a practical takeaway here, is, I think once you get a business, right, once it's humming, I think starting to think a little bit about diversifying, but there's a fine balance, right? You don't want to diversify so much that you lose focus completely. It's, for me at least, I try to focus around marketing businesses and things that are additive to whatever I have going, where 1 + 1 = 3. And so I think that way, I'll be able to insulate myself from any type of, catastrophic event, right? Because put all your eggs in one basket, could be the end of it if you hit zero.
Yeah, love it. And we've been very, very blessed as well, in that our businesses have actually been impacted for the better. We even started a business during COVID, and I'll share this mostly to remind anyone that's watching or listening that entrepreneurship is just problem solving, and there's always problems to solve. A year ago, 11 months ago, the beginning of the pandemic, my mom passed away, and it sucked, of course, because I couldn't get together with my family. And so we did a virtual memorial service. And I realized, like, that day, that so many other families would be struggling with the same issues that I had about grieving. And so we started a virtual memorial service company. And of course, never in a million years would I have thought as a child that I would be a online funeral director when I grew up. But that business will probably do $1 million this year. And it's and more important, we're helping hundreds and hundreds of families go through the grief process. So, yes, COVID has been really, really hard on a lot of people and a lot of families and a lot of businesses. And I certainly don't want to be insensitive to that fact in any way. I definitely realize it. And at the same time, those of us that are continually committed to leveling up and to innovating and to solving problems, we'll be able to get through. I really, really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, and first of all, Dave, so sorry for your loss, but I think one important thing that came from that, and it's an important point, it's to be adaptable. And I can say for the beginning of the year, I was, for the first 2 days, I had this immense pressure that I've never felt before. And we made a lot of moves that had we just decided to kind of, where do we want to turn the ship, right? We want to turn towards the more exponential sources of revenue. We had operators running the agency already. So it's like, I'm going to turn to what's exponential and what I really understand to grow for the long term. We just need to speed that up, right? So a lot of people say COVID has sped things up. And I think that's certainly the case for a lot of different people.
If you're just tuning in live, we are conducting what we believe is the first ever LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Clubhouse simulcast live stream. Super, super exciting. I am with Eric Siu, longtime friend and author of the brand new Leveling Up. We're going to take a couple more questions from the audience, and then we are going to give away our grand prize, a copy of Eric's book and a copy of my last book. The question comes from Sana, and I want to say she, but not sure. Who knows? Sana wants to know, what do you do, Eric, when you find your mind going in slow motion, or you're frustrated? How do you boost yourself back to being motivated? Essentially, how do you self motivate when times are tough?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I got this from poker, but it's kind of a really sick thing. So when I feel psychological pain coming, not physical pain, that's a different story, but probably it's because of the beat down I got from my parents growing up, my Asian mom. It's constantly a beat down, right? And for me, I learned to reframe it as, oh, you're giving me pain, give me more, right? So when they hit my keyboard and my mouse, and they didn't let me play EverQuest, I would lose my my poo poo. And the one thing I'll say is, so I've reframed it to just give me more fuel, right? And I think I haven't really felt really down or anything like that for a long time. And so I don't know if it's attributed to reframe, or maybe I've just become unemotional due to poker, because poker teaches you to be very unemotional when poo-poo hits the fan. One other thing I'll say is, working with my coach, we've really untangled a lot of my programming from 0 to really 18 or 22 years old, just growing up, because that's how we're wired. And so I have this turtle in front of me that I got from Puerto Rico, those of you that can see the live stream. But the whole idea behind it is slowing down is actually a good thing. You can see I talk really fast, but I've actually consciously tried to slow down. There's, you can move quickly, but to what end, right? Just understanding to think in decades, move quickly in the interim, but thinking in decades. And you look back, it's like, oh my God, so much has been done, and there's really no rush, right? We're not here for very long, and we're just a speck in time. We're like, in the grand scheme of things, we're nothing, right? So let's just make the most of our time.
I love it. I love it. We are, by the way, I played in the WSOP main event this year, and I don't know if you played in the main event, but we definitely have to play together. I did. I played online, and I didn't do that well, but I did outlast Phil Hellmuth, so that I will forever have that. I'm not sure if that was worth the entry fee, but it was fun, and I want to do it in person again, of course, when the world opens up. A couple more questions in the grand prize. Thank you guys all for tuning in, listening, watching, etc. We're going to give away our final grand prize on Clubhouse. So if you are watching on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube and you have an iPhone, get your butt on Clubhouse. You can join in like 30 seconds, download it, hopefully you have an invite, get in this room. And if you're listening on Clubhouse, ping your friends, and let's get a nice crowd going for the end of this live interview, the very first live interview of somebody on both LinkedIn and Clubhouse at the same time. Okay, a couple more questions. Thank you, Christina, by the way, our producer, my apprentice. She's killing it behind the scenes, helping manage this whole thing. So Angela wants to know, Angela wants to know what your mom thinks about the book, because she said you wasted your time gaming. So what's your mom's reaction, Eric?
Yeah, she's still very stubborn. My dad has accepted it. My mom is just like, I still think you wasted your time. So she's just gonna, I think she's gonna live with that till the end. So yeah, it's hard to change it, but she does say nicer things now. Like, I feel like we hit the jackpot, because she didn't think I would, quote unquote, make it out. So yeah, I think deep down inside she's proud, but as a true Asian parent, they never really reveal their emotions. At least mine don't. So.
Love it. Okay, our final question, and we're going to give away Eric a final copy of Eric's book, Leveling Up. Our final question is from Diana. Diana wants to know, what's your favorite brand or company and why? What's your favorite brand or company and why?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the cop-out answer would be Apple. So I'm trying to think of ones that brands that resonate with you. Oh, you know what? Lululemon really resonates with me, and Peloton resonates with me as well. And so for Peloton, they've kind of created a movement, right? And then people are obsessive, and you can see from their numbers, their churn rate is extremely low for a consumer product, right? That's why they do so well. For Lulu, I just keep going back and buying their stuff, and I think they're making nice acquisitions. And I think it's just, people make remarks when you're wearing Lulu stuff, and I've gotten to the point now where all I wear is Lulu, and for better or worse. And it's just yeah, people make comments about it, so that's why I love them.
Eric, you mentioned passion earlier in terms of likable leadership traits, and it's amazing hearing the passion in your voice when you talk about brands that you love. I'm super passionate about Peloton as well, and fortunate that my wife, who is truly my better half in pretty much every way, and I don't think she's listening, so I'm not buttering her up. Truly, we got our Peloton a few years ago, and she convinced me to buy some stock in Peloton early enough that that has been an incredible journey. So if for no other reason, I'm a huge fan of Peloton, but I really enjoy it too, and watching the instructors and building the community and the bond. And honestly, I see so much of that similar passion for the early adopters that are hanging on Clubhouse, which brings me to our grand prize giveaway. So Eric, hold up, please, for those that are watching, a copy of his book. Thank you, Leveling Up: How to Master the Game of Life. I assume this book is available on Amazon and in bookstores everywhere. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, it's not being released until next week. So on Wednesday next week, on the 24th, I picked that for Kobe.
Love it. Christina, I'm going to make you choose our grand prize winner so I don't have to, from Clubhouse. So choose somebody randomly, please, from our audience, Christina, and you can, you know, I like to mix things up. You can bring them to the stage. I will make you a moderator, and you can hopefully bring our grand prize winner to the stage to say hello. I don't know if they'll be able to hear them on LinkedIn, although maybe if we unmute one of our computers, then they will be able to hear the audio. It will be faint though. So our grand prize winner, winning copy of Leveling Up as well as The Art of People, is Miles. Congratulations, Miles. Miles, are you in the audience? Yes, you are. Miles, let's bring you up. Miles, congratulations. You are winning a copy of both books. Anything you want to say to Eric Siu before we wrap this thing up?
I just want to, of course, thank you for your story. I really appreciate it. Yeah, just a great opportunity, and I wish you all the best. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Miles, and congrats to you.
Congrats to you. Thank you.
All right, and there you have it. As far as we know, the first ever LinkedIn and Clubhouse live stream. I want to thank my producer, my apprentice, the amazing Christina. Thank you so much. I want to thank, of course, my guest, Eric Siu, terrific entrepreneur, great guy, and author of a great new book, Leveling Up. And most of all, I want to thank each and every one of you guys that are watching and or listening. And until next time, have a super likable day. Bye-bye for now.